Fellas, it is so good to see you.
Nice to see you.
It is so nice, I bet, for you to be on this side of the release, right? What does it feel like now after hearing and feeling an audience watch the movie last night for the first time? What is that like for you?
Well, you watched the movie for the first time
For the
last
first
night.
time, yeah.
For the
Last night.
in total, yeah.
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 What was that like for you?
Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible. I intentionally didn't see any assemblies or come in to see any cuts.
Yeah, I offered to show it to you early.
Yeah, and I was grateful to just be able to sit back and watch it. It's so rare that you get to be swept up on a journey that you were part of creating. And so with this, especially because of a scale of this. A film of this scale and scope with so many elements of animation that are part of the post-production process.
Right.
I don't know what the orgoscope is going to look like. I don't know what some of these worlds are going to look like. So I can, in a way, be, and it's been
amazed.
A full year.
It's been almost exactly a year since we wrapped.
Yeah.
The movie.
So I've departed enough from it to where I got swept up in the journey, and I was looking forward to that, and it was great. It was fantastic.
I'm going to tell you, the people in my row, there were cheers, there were cries, there were yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing to see. Job well done, for sure.
Thank you.
I want to go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the carpet a little bit yesterday, the underdog to icons kind of journey.
Yeah.
Right? That you read some of the headlines, some of the stories that people wrote about the first one before it came out. Like, will this be the first Marvel flop?
Right.
Not will they, this will be, with
This
many
will
of the
be.
articles.
That was, it was
This
a
is
definitive.
Here are the reasons why this will be the biggest
Yeah,
flop.
nobody wants these characters. Why aren't we getting, and then they could list whatever Marvel character that they were a fan of.
Right.
Because really the Guardians of the Galaxy, they didn't sell that many comic books. So
Right.
they weren't a well-known commodity like Iron Man or, Black Panther or some of the other characters.
Right.
$773 million worldwide, the first one
And
did.
we split 20,000.
Yes, 15 to 20,000.
15 to 20,000 between us
Yeah.
of that money.
There you go.
We got a bonus of a grand apiece.
Come on.
was epic.
What do you remember about that first audition? Would you consider Guardians your big break? Like the big thing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
For sure. I feel as though my career was
100%.
several incremental steps in the right direction.
Yep.
But I had this big break. There was a couple of films that was able to do that I think on my breaks between doing Parks and Rec that opened me up to directors maybe seeing me a little bit differently than they had seen me for a while.
Yeah.
And Zero Dark 30 or Moneyball was probably the biggest one.
Moneyball, yeah.
And that all of a sudden that movie got nominated for an Oscar, and I got to go to the Oscars. I was a supporting cast member, and then I did Zero Dark 30 the next year. And for me, that movie was something that I was like, oh wow, people bought it that I was a Navy SEAL.
Right.
Maybe I do have some kind of action hero in me somewhere. And then
Maybe I do.
and when I auditioned for Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd already done a lot of auditions for Marvel, and I hadn't fit right because.
Would you tell me one of the other? Would you mind telling me one of the other auditions?
Everyone, all of them.
Would you audition for like Zach's role in Thor or something?
Yeah, there was a role in Thor, but it wasn't. It was like a side character in Thor.
Yeah,
Okay.
like Zach, I think it might have been. Was it Zach Levi's character? Might have been.
I don't. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
But it was, and it wasn't just Marvel. But there was a lot of, guys who looked like me leading franchise type films, whether it be Star Trek or Avatar or any of the Marvel movies G.I. Joe or any of these movies that came out. And I was auditioning for all of them. I wasn't getting much feedback, and it was because I probably wasn't right for them, because what he wanted to do was really subvert the genre by infusing some kind of comedy.
Right.
And it was the perfect storm, because at that point I was like, I want to do action. I want to be the Zero Dark 30 guy, but I also feel like I have something to offer comedically. I would like to find something that could somehow do both.
What do you remember about his audition? What do you remember
It was
about
terrible.
that?
It was terrible.
Well, I was going to ask, was it terrible?
No, it wasn't. His first audition.
Did he nail it?
No, yes, he nailed the first audition, right? So he came in. I didn't want to see him. I didn't think he was right for the role,
Right.
but Sarah Finn was like, check him out. I said, okay. So he comes in, he starts reading, literally 20 seconds into him reading. I turned to Sarah Finn, and she was right there behind me, and I said, she's right where that weird thing is back there.
Yep.
And I said, he's a guy. And I knew instantly he was a guy. And from that
Did you
time...
know that?
That
He said he's the guy in the audition.
I
Did you
didn't
know that?
sense that. But if I remember correctly, and this was always a tactic I used as an actor, is you get the role before you start reading.
Oh.
That's a good thing for actors to know. I went in there being like, I think I have an idea of what I want to do.
Right.
I'm going to get as much of my audition done before I even start reading.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? That's
okay.
a tactic I would use as an actor. And he was like, so hey, thanks for coming in, Chris. Do you have any questions? And at that point, Marvel wouldn't release any scripts, and you know the sides that I had were some BS version of the sides.
Right.
And so I just decided to be the opposite of effusive and polite about it. And I was like, yeah, I got questions. What do you mean? Of course I have questions. You know, how much time do you have? Why don't you tell me the whole movie from the beginning to the end? You didn't give me a script.
He wasn't that rude. You said those things, but you didn't say them with that face.
Well,
if you said
I was 10
face,
years younger.
I would have been like,
He's grown into that face.
oh, you're getting more.
I'm like more judgmental. The older I get. No,
Well,
but maybe I'm doing a heightened version of it. But at the time, I was like, I feel like I always started auditioning beforehand.
But it honestly was just your reading. It was honestly your reading. Like the minute he got into
Jedi
it,
mind trick.
he had a personality.
He nailed it.
He nailed it.
Okay, so
and then he went to the screen test. Blew it.
Oh no!
Blew it.
Yeah.
Like
He came in. Blew it too. You knew.
I told him.
I didn't blow all of it. I blew
I didn't blow all.
just the important stuff.
Okay.
Which was like which was actually ended up being one of the hardest scenes to shoot in the movie.
It was, yeah. It was
so it's probably a testament to the writing.
It's where he's a pro.
Because some bad writing you just can't make good. Even the best actors in the world can't make bad writing work.
That beloved scene that's so often quoted.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so he was definitely, he spiraled in the middle of the film.
Yeah, I went deep.
I
was like, I blew it. Okay,
might as well just keep going.
And he came up to me, but generously said, "You're blowing it." I don't know what you're doing, but it's all wrong. And none of this is working. This is me. This is me being James. This is not what you're doing. Is not working. You're blowing it. So.
No!
I don't know. Man, I guess try something different.
I really don't. That's like you when that's your version of me. That's like your version of you when you were a jerk to me. No, I was trying to be like, something's not working. We need to turn around and just try something differently.
Yeah.
Like today, I know what it is. Today, I know definitely what it is.
Okay.
That back in that day, Chris was used to being a comedian, so he was doing comedy all the time.
Right.
And everything had to be frills, and everything was comedy. And I think of it as he's
levels.
always juggling. He wasn't confident with just being himself all the time. Whatever you want to call it. It's not being himself, being present.
Right.
You know, and I think as we went on with creating the show, the movies, Chris now really sculpts that performance so that sometimes he's just there. Like, let yourself just be photographed and be in the moment.
Right.
And other times, you add a little flair, and that's the comedy. And other times you go with the emotion and you do that. But at the time, I think he was working way too hard to be impressive.
I think that's ultimately the thing, right? You want to leave an impression, and one of the impressions that has been left on me in doing this junket and the carpet yesterday is how real the bond between this cast is, how real the friendships, how real the connections are, and James, it is not lost on me how in real life the Guardians of the Galaxy had to form to ensure that this story was told
1,000%.
the way that you had always intended it for it to be told, for this group to tell this story the way that you'd always wanted it to be told. Yep. What did it feel like for you to see them rally for you in that way?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I remember, being back in that time with these guys and just the amount of love I was shown. And, some of it was rallying, that was touching. But what was really touching was just the honest to goodness friendship. I heard somebody, and I won't say who it is, but I heard somebody recently who had done something for which they got canceled, in the public eye. And they had done something kind of stupid, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. And everybody abandoned them, like everybody. And I thought, wow, you must not be that nice of a person, because no one abandoned me. And everybody was there for me as a friend and a human being. And that meant the world to me. And it was really important for my personal journey, having nothing to do with the Guardians, but simply my relationship to, spirituality and God and friendship in this earth, to be able to say, God, I have these relationships with people that mean something.
How grateful am I for that?
And I'm grateful, and that's more important than anything.
Yeah.
It's not about, fame and money and adulation. It's about the human connections we make.
Yeah.
And turning it back to the marketing for this film, that's what this movie is about.
Exactly.
It's about the human connections we make. It's even though they're a raccoon and a tree and a bunch of aliens, it's about their human connections. And it's about the way in which they don't allow those to happen because they're for no other reason other than they're frightened to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole series is about.
You're also kind of saying goodbye to the Marvel scenario.
Yes.
And now moving into the DC of it all.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have left with this as the kind of so long farewell?
It feels good. I mean, it feels like I wanted to make a film series that ended properly and wasn't just left half unfinished, and I feel like I did that.
Yesterday, with Bradley, he told me that Leah, his daughter, loves he does the rocket voice around the house.
Right.
And Jack was 2 when the first one came out?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Around that, right?
Yeah. But he was on set. Chris brought Jack to set when Jack was a baby.
Yeah.
Like on our first day of shooting, I believe, on
Yeah,
the
there.
Morag, and that
Yeah.
was. It's kind of, I always think of the series as being exactly the age of Jack.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, do you have like cool dad status as Star-Lord, or like does he connect it at all, or is it like, okay, Dad's at work?
I hope I have cool dad status, but I don't. I think any cool dad status I have doesn't come from any of this stuff. It doesn't come from any of the characters I've played, or if anything, Jack likes to push back against that a little bit. So like Mario came out, he's like, yeah, Luigi's the best. I'm always Luigi. I always play Luigi, and like he's like Star-Lord's probably like I'd say he's probably the second weakest of all of the MCU. Don't you think that? So he likes to mess with me, you know what I mean? Yeah. But hopefully cool dad status comes from other things like our fishing trips or camping trips. Yeah, showing him movies.
The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad before he was too old. Too young. He was too young to see it. But
fishing and camping, I love that.
Yeah, fishing. Just being present and doing normal dad stuff is probably...
He spent so much time with Jack just like hanging out and playing and stuff. And so Jack always seems to love him. But yeah, he doesn't seem to react at all to stardom stuff.
Yeah,
he's just used to it or something.
He doesn't have a world against which to weigh it. He didn't like. I had so many years of my life where it was a dream for me. It's been his reality. Both me and his mom's an actor. It's like it's a normal thing for him.